What is this all about?
Yeah, so I mean, this really dates back to an incident that happened over 2 years ago, but it came back to light this summer. People are calling it Farmgate, but really this week is when all things sort of culminated because there was this independent panel that was investigating this incident that happened at the president's farm, and there was a lot of cash that was stolen. Let's just say that.
More than I keep at my house.
More than, yes. So it was alleged to be $4 million in cash at his ranch, but he says it was only $580,000. Now, what this panel was supposed to be investigating is whether or not the president violated the Constitution, the law, and potentially even stepped in and had some misconduct involved in the investigation itself. And so they are now recommending potentially that Parliament take up an opinion and a decision on whether or not he should be impeached. Now, what we were supposed to hear from Parliament today was whether or not they were going to have this meeting to decide whether or not to take up a motion to start the process of potentially impeaching the president. But that has been postponed. We heard from the president's spokesperson not too long ago. We thought we were going to hear from the president. But he said that the president is considering all options on the table. He's been spending the day consulting with people over this report that came out. And he wants to consider what's best for the country and for the economic stability of the country. So that's really where we're at right now. And we should be hearing from the president imminently.
For those of us who have not been following as closely as you have been, this seems sort of abrupt. Okay, fine, they came out with a report, and we have reports from Congress all the time, but we don't have the president resign, just a report from Congress normally.
Right. I mean, and that's part of what this this independent panel was supposed to be investigating, right? Whether or not the president committed misconduct. And this was all stemming back to this incident that happened. So, I mean, it might sound abrupt that, it's happened this week, but it's really been over the course of the past few years. And people want to know whether or not this president who ran on anti-corruption for his campaign, who has promised to do away with corruption in the country, has been violated some of the own policies that he's been trying to go against.
Let me take a half step back. He's a very wealthy individual, as I understand it.
Yes.
Do we know where he got his wealth from?
Well, so he has been a longtime businessman. He dates back to the anti-apartheid era in South Africa. So he's a very well-known figure within the country, well-respected. And he was a businessman before coming into power. And of course, we know that he took over from Jacob Zuma, who had his own troubles. And so the president really was supposed to be this president that was supposed to liberate the country from a lot of these corruption issues that has been dogging the country. And the issue, too, is for the party itself, the ANC, which is just weeks away from determining who is going to be the leader to take them and carry them through to the 2024 election. He was considered to be the shoo-in, David. And so now at this point, whether or not he resigns or not, it's can he actually survive being the party leader? And can he continue a lot of these reforms that he was supposed to be engineering and helping the country get out of a lot of the issues that they had been seeing in the past few years?
Jen, you don't need me to tell you that we both work for Michael Bloomberg, right? And we pay a lot of attention to markets and to economies. What has Cyril Ramaphosa meant for the South African economy? How are the markets reacting to this scandal?
Well, today what we've seen is a lot of concern from investors. I think I can say that for the most part. What we've seen is the rand has been dropping since early this morning on Thursday, and it's seeing a lot of the biggest declines that it's seen in the past few days. And that is because, as you know, David, investors don't like instability, right? And so if this looks like political instability, if this looks like a step back from a government that was at least trying, I think we can say that they were trying to impose these reforms on the country. They were trying to deal with a lot of the power cuts and the issues that the country has been seeing. That could be even more of an issue for a country that has, I believe it's upwards of 30%, 32% unemployment. And so what does that mean going forward for this country? And so investors are currently not liking this uncertainty and are going to have to see whether the next person who does come in, if there is somebody else who comes in, if they're able to continue forward with what the president's agenda has been, or if the president can do it himself if he stays in office.